This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's bubbling, magical people? Welcome back to the Witching Hour with Miss Merlin, where we like to talk about all things witchy and magical. Your one-stop source for everything spellcasting, deities, ascension, healing, tarot, mediumship, psychic gifts, spirituality, chakras, plant medicine, healing, and much, much more. I'm Kimmy, aka Miss Merlin, High Priestess and Shamaness, Medicine Woman, Psychic Medium, Vulva, and Witch Extraordinaire. So let's jump on in, and we are covering another beautiful deity today. We're going to talk about Lilith. So automatically, when we start talking about Lilith, that strikes fear for a lot of people. And that is because of religious conditioning and, basically gossip, for lack of a better word. Okay, so Lilith brings that dark feminine energy, okay? But she is all about freedom and independence, desire, passion, rebellion, an unwielding spirit that won't be tamed. She refuses to be controlled. She defies the patriarchy, which is why I love her. And she refuses to be silenced as well. So using her voice. So you would want to work with her energy when you feel controlled, right? Or you feel like you're having a hard time using your voice. Okay. So that's when you would want to work with Lilith. So obviously in Christian, Judean and Catholic lore, Lilith is a demon, pretty much. She was Adam's first wife who would not submit. So Adam basically said, hey, God, this chick's not doing what she's told. So, and God was like, yeah, she should do what she's told. Can you smell the patriarchy? So, they said to Lilith, you have to do what you're told. And she said pretty much, no, for lack of a better word. Okay. With maybe one of those middle fingers there. Okay. And then she left, quote unquote, paradise. And we'll get more into the details of the story in a little bit. But first, when she was said to not want to submit, when this is analyzed later, it kind of looks like she wouldn't submit sexually. And it's actually said in a lot of scholars' papers and stuff that it was about maybe sexual position. that Adam wanted to dominate and she wanted to dominate and there was no compromising. So this is where the domination comes from. But she used her voice to demand equality. She walked side by side with Adam, not behind him. They were created as equals. So that's why she left for the quote unquote desert. Okay, so outside of the garden. So the way that she is portrayed and why her name incites fear, she has a freedom and sovereignty, right? And as I mentioned, she can use her voice. So everything the patriarchy wants you to oppress and suppress. All right. So in their eyes, they see her as a devil, a demon, a seducer of men. And she actually has the title in a lot of old texts as the quote unquote mother of demons. So before we go any further, I just want to talk about the whole demon thing for a second. Okay. So hell is something that was created by religion. Okay. Not real. They had to create something to make you fear eternal damnation so you will do what you're told. Okay? Be controlled. All right? I know some people might not like this, but the Bible is complete fiction. Okay? I have to say that up front. And a lot of people follow it blindly and they haven't actually read it or anything. And if you did and you have some critical thinking skills, it wouldn't take you very long to see that it is a whole lot of hooey, so to speak. This might get me in a lot of trouble, but it is the truth. Okay, so those kind of texts were written by very, 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 very inbred drunks. Sorry, not sorry. Facts are facts. Also, if you believe in the Bible and things like that, then you're really saying no to science. So I would like to ask a question. If you're still a person who does believe in the Bible, do you believe in dinosaurs? And if the answer to that is yes, then you're in complete contradiction of the Bible, which is what I'm saying. Most people follow it blindly. They haven't read it or looked into it. It's just stuff they've been told at church and conditioned in. And like I said, if you actually sat down and read it, you'd be like, what the? So the one thing I do really like about Lilith is, this one quote that I found, and I'm not sure who wrote it, but it's the reason why she left quote unquote paradise is because she felt that paradise without equality is just a prison with sparkly or shiny bars. So think about that. If you're a woman in the United States, really think about that. So maybe if you are a woman in the United States, you might want to start working with Lilith's energy. Okay? Might be really, really good for you. So where we see her written about here, we're going to start with, basically the first writings found of her that are kind of entwined with her story is Sumerian myths about the succubi, right? So this is where that whole vampire comes in, right? So she's also kind of the mother of vampires also. Women... This was also considered maybe women who maybe died in childbirth became succubi. In Sumerian myths, you would find her as Lulu, all right? And she would this is where some of the myths of the stealing children in the night and stuff like that for witches came from. So obviously a demon of the night, stealing babies and young children, plagued pregnant women, caused miscarriages, drank blood, ate marrow. So again, linking to the first vampirism. And that is the drinking blood and eating marrow started in Mesopotamian text. And there, Lilith is referred to Lamashtu. I think I said that right. Lamashtu. Yeah. Okay. So if I pronounce anything wrong here, please, I mean no offense. All right. So I'm going to say that up front. Okay. So she was kind of like in the Sumerian text, like I said, Lulu. And Babylonian text, it was Lalitu or Lamashtu. So kind of combined with the Mesopotamian there. So she was said to attack men who slept alone. She wanted to steal their semen so she could make more demon offspring. So she's also associated in demonology with Agroth, who was also a demon that was known to steal children and babies in the night, plague pregnant women, so on and so forth. So again, one of the original stories goes back to the alphabet of Ben Sira, and I really hope I said that right, Ben Sira, which is known as a satirical Jewish work, and it was anonymous. This was the first to mention her association with the creation story. Now, some people think that this is complete law, and some people think that it's blasphemy. So it depends on who you ask and where you look. So again, she was not being submissive. Adam was like, I don't like that. God took Adam's side. And Lilith was like, nope, I'm out of here. So she left. And then Adam missed her, of course. So he asked God to get her back. So God sent 3 angels. Now, this is in the Jewish faith, okay? Sent 3 angels pretty much to drag her back against her will if needed. And she had to come back, right? She refuses. And she strikes a deal with these angels that she doesn't want to go back, but she has to become a demon. And then this is where she becomes a killer of children and men for some reason. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. I didn't write this. Okay. So, but she has to promise that she will not harm any child, protected with a talisman containing the names of the 3 angels that she made a deal with. Also, the angels could kill, now this is also depending on who you ask here, 1 or 100, not sure which, okay, 1 or 100 of her demon offspring every day. So succubus, succubi, keeping the balance of good and evil on earth, basically. All right, so I was talking about the talisman with the names of the 3 angels. So I'm not sure why, again, don't ask me. But it was said that boys, she had dominion over boys born for 8 days after their birth and 12 days for girls. So again, you had to wear that talisman with the names of the 3 angels on it. Now, I forgot to mention too, when she left the Garden of Eden, for some reason, she said God's true name, which in the Jewish faith is a big, big no-no. So that turned her into a demon also. That's another story that there is. And this is also where in demonology, you would see that if you find out a demon's true name, you can use it against them in order to banish them, which is really weird because you would think that you would use something divine, right? But that's where that came from. And I'm just letting you know, also nonsense. Okay. So yeah, hell doesn't exist. It's not a place. There are negative spirits. Yes. There are so. And there's the good spirits, right? So you have to use your discernment with who you're working with. And always use protection, of course, okay? On yourself. Picture yourself in like a big bubble, all right? Lilith is a great one to call in and ask to come in and work with, because she will really protect you. All right. Hecate as well. She's also very connected to Hecate. If you want to know more about Hecate, I did an episode about her last week. So that whole saying her name against her and saying demons' names against them, that started in the Dead Sea Scrolls, I believe. All right. So she was also somewhat, her name wasn't mentioned, but it was implied that there was a first wife for Adam. And Genesis 1. This is Christian Catholicism faith. All right. So just, sorry, bear with me. Sorry, that sounds like I resent my Catholic upbringing. And I do. Anyways. So in Genesis, it is said that Lilith and Adam were both created from dust, and they were created equal. So like I was saying, walk side by side, not Lilith walking behind Adam. Okay, complete equal. Now, when we have that kind of dynamic, yes, sometimes it can get messy because somebody always kind of wants to be the dominant.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistant's assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
If you love hurricanes, daiquiris, and, well, any rum cocktail, listen up. Captain Morgan's about to shake things up like never before. We're talking Bourbon Street, New Orleans, home to legendary drinks and unforgettable moments. But what if we told you the most iconic cocktails here have one thing in common? Hint, it's not bourbon. That's right, it's rum. And Captain Morgan is bringing unforgettable fun to Bourbon Street in a way you won't want to miss. Get ready for something big as we gear up for Super Bowl 59. Make sure to keep your eyes on NOLA's most iconic street. Who knows, Bourbon Street might just need a new name. Stay tuned for clues and get ready for the most legendary adventure yet. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company, New York, New York.
Dominant one. So there was a power struggle, so to speak, between the two. Now, in Genesis 2, this is where we have the creation story that we're familiar with Adam being the first one created, and then being, God created all these animals, companionship, and it wasn't really up to the mark. So he put Adam in like a coma, so to speak, and created Eve from one of his ribs. Again, can you smell the patriarchy? Now, since Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 contradict themselves, this has caused much debate because the Word of God apparently cannot contradict itself. So the way that it has been explained, the contradiction between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, is that Adam must have had a first wife. So we don't see her written again in that sort of first wife character until the scholar Midrash came up with the explanation, and that God had to create women twice. Okay, because of course, the first one wouldn't behave. We couldn't get her to be submissive. She wanted to speak her mind. We can't have that. So we have to create one that is in the image of the man, who will just be subservient to the man. Ugh. Oh, yeah, this topic kind of gets me fired up a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so Lilith's actual name appears only once in the Bible in Isaiah 34:14, where he refers to a demoness of the night when describing what Eden will look like in the final days. Again, making her evil, right? So the final thing is that Lilith is going to come and get you. Scary woman who speaks her mind that we can't control. Ooh. All right. So she is depicted also in some interpretations as a screeching night owl. In other stories, this demon returns for revenge against Adam in the Garden of Eden as the serpent. So one of the stories goes that she manipulates Eve into eating the apple. The earliest depictions of stories have a snake, and they have the snake as a beautiful woman. All right, so the snake didn't come in until later. It started as a beautiful woman, Lilith. And some early artwork depictions show the serpent as a woman. There's a Renaissance piece called The Fall of Man, and that shows her as a female, beautiful one. And then Michelangelo painted her as a half snake, half weird looking female toddler thing with horns. Yeah, look it up if you like. Again, Michelangelo, one of the first depictions in the Garden of Eden. She's like wrapped around a tree in some way. Like it's a very like creepy looking painting. I don't enjoy it. But you can look it up if you want to. All right, so in the book of Solomon, there's a demon called Obeseth. And this is also kind of connected to Lilith. So in this story, Solomon commanded demons to build a church. And this is Lilith, essentially, to double crosses him or whatever, and becomes a baby killer in the night. And again, goes after pregnant women, single men, all of these things. Night terrors, all of that. In the Middle Ages, we would see her mentioned with Asmodeus, who was known in, and I hope I say this right, and I mean no disrespect if I don't, okay, the Talmud. And that he was like the king of demons. So Lilith, became like the demon queen. And they had thousands of demon children, okay, all these succubi and succubuses. So she was also written about as like the wife of Satan, allegedly. And in some other texts, you would find her as God's wife, like the chaotic, dark side of that energy. Again, making the woman the dark, evil villain. In the Cabal, she was Samael's wife. So not created by God, but by Samael himself because he wanted a companion. And in this telling, again, she was the mother of thousands of demon children. So another connection too is in Abrahamic religion. I think it's Nama is her sister or her daughter, I'm not sure. And she's written about as a succubi also. So then the patriarchy will tell you that Lilith energy has been hijacked by feminism. But she has actually had one of the biggest transformations of the goddesses, which she really, really deserved. So some parallels too. In Greek mythology, the sirens, right? Because they have that seductive energy. You know, they pull men to them with their songs, their voice, throat chakra, right? And there's also the harpies, which is like a bird-like creature, winged bird-like creature. So that kind of parallels with Lilith a little bit. And there's closest resemblance really is Lamia or Lamia. And she was known for her extreme beauty. She was the daughter of Poseidon. And her story almost mirrors Lilith's story in a way. All right. Now, Zeus wanted her, of course, and he took interest. And kids were born. Because Zeus always gets what he wants, if you know anything about Greek mythology. Like, he's the most egoic god ever. Anyways, Hera, Zeus's first wife, furious, cursed her, and into never being able to sleep. And then she went mad, of course. They also saw her as a shapeshifter. So the other, interpretation of this is that this beautiful young maiden fell victim to lust. Okay, I don't think she fell victim to anything. Okay, Zeus is a predator. So in the one story, her children are killed as punishment, and she's then transformed into a monster. And in some tellings, Lamia and the Lamai are vampiric demons who feed on the blood of young, handsome men. And in other tellings, it's children forever seeking revenge she goes after children, forever seeking revenge for the ones that were taken from her. So much like Lilith, her story is meant to be a cautionary tale, less about rebellion and speaking your mind and being independent, and more about the dangers of lust and being the type of woman that society says is bad or naughty. So, another parallel, which is interesting, is Narnia. If you're a fan of Narnia, the White Witch is a descendant, apparently, allegedly, to the first wife of Adam, Lilith. And then we have True Blood, 30 Days of Night, vampires, of course. She's mentioned in that. Supernatural, mentioned in that as well. There's a mother of demons. Shadow hunters. Lilith has a whole storyline in there about being the mother of demons. Lucifer on Netflix, if you've ever seen that. Lilith makes an appearance in there. If you've seen Lucifer, then you would be familiar with Mazikeen, who I love. Mazikeen is, in fact, one of Lilith's children. And then the fifth element, Lilu, that kind of parallels too. In video games, we have Devil May Cry, Darksiders, Borderlands, Diablo, Final Fantasy, and many, many, many more. So in the very, very early 1800s-ish, she was kind of adopted as a dark goddess in the occult, okay, in secret. So, as we know, mentioned as the first wife of Adam and also as a pretty witch. So this introduced many Christians to the story of Adam's first wife. There was a play, this is what I'm talking about. In 1800, the play Faust was kind of her debut. So this is when Christians kind of got to know the story of her for the first time. And then there was artwork that began to depict her more favorably and more feminine, more beautiful, instead of that she-demon or that other painting that kind of gives me nightmares. So again, I just wouldn't even bother looking it up. And then in 1872, there's a painting by Dante Gabriel Rossetti, and it's called Lady Lilith. Okay, so again, painting her more beautiful. And most famously, the painting Lilith by John Collier, and that was in 1887. It's still a bit dark, but it's kind of sexy. It's a naked woman, and she's got like a snake wrapped around her leg, and it goes up and around her body. So, and then in 1899, Charles Godfrey Leland wrote Aradia, or the Gospel of Witches, which is essentially about a goddess named Aradia coming to earth to teach the oppressed witchcraft to help them escape their position and gain equal ground. Yeah, a lot of you need Lilith right now. So this book's role in Wicca and neo-paganism has been really, really huge. And the writer states that Aradia is Lilith in the afternotes, making her a divine teacher of witchcraft and sorcery to those who need her, and a protector to the oppressed. So this is the first really explicit link to Lilith as a goddess in writings. As a goddess full of power and rebellion as well, instead of just a she-demon. So around the same time, Aleister Crowley, he also wrote a book. He is one of the most influential occultists of the 1900s. So he presented her as more the dark aspect of Babylon, his complex and kind of like nuanced, the way that he saw it, form of divine feminine energy. So like dark goddess energy, a divine destroyer, temptress, very similar to the energies of Kali Ma. Kali is known as the destructor. She comes in with that very, very dark energy as well. Also Hecate. You would want to link to that as well. And also, a lot of people don't think about it, but also Persephone, right? Because Persephone's energy, the way that she's presented, and I talked about this in my episode last week, is that, you know, that subservient type of woman. She's subservient to Hades. And really, she's not. That's not the energy that I get from her at all. So I kind of associate them as well, because Persephone is also about death and rebirth and, you know, destruction of the old and things like that. So anyways, Aleister was a little weird. He actually put Lilith's name in his daughter's name. She had like 6, I think, middle names. Nui, Ma, Ahathor, Hecate, Sappho, Jezebel, Lilith. Unfortunately, she died when she was 2 of typhoid fever. And that brings us to Gerald Gardner, who is pretty much the founder of Wicca. So he read Aradia and was fascinated, and then he made some claims that there was continuous worship of Lilith from the ancient times, but that is not backed by facts at all. Unless, like, even if they meant that the ancient worship of the name Aradia, that name originated with Charles Godfrey Leland. So, again, not based on any factual information at all. So by this time, she was absolutely adopted by the occult. She was worshipped secretly. And she was still, this was when, like, she was seen as evil in public. So you definitely wanted to worship her in secret. All right. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in Judaism, Midrash writes the story. And this was kind of the one I was talking about based on like the sexual position and the dominance, that Lilith became defiant. So she was cast out, and Eve is made to be subservient, and she is told to watch out for Lilith, the evil demon. She's brainwashed by Adam that there's this evil lurking, you know, just like every guy says, my ex is crazy. You know? And then once you break up with the toxic idiot and you meet her and you find out she's really nice and it was him that was the problem, that is kind of the same energy happening right here. So, anyways, he gaslights Eve to fear this evil demon lurking just outside the Garden of Eden. And Lilith grows to miss human companionship because she's out there alone, and she attempts to re-enter the Garden of Eden many times unsuccessfully. During an attempt, Eve spots her and sees that she's not a demon, but she's just a woman, just like her. She's never seen another woman before because both Adam and God, male. So this makes Eve curious. So she escapes the garden to find Lilith. She's afraid, but she finds her. They speak. They share stories. They share tea. They become besties. And then this story ends with the line, and I quote, "Line or threat, you make your determination." "And God and Adam were expectant and afraid the day Eve and Lilith returned to the garden, bursting with possibilities, ready to rebuild it together." End quote. So, yeah, the patriarchy would see that as a threat, and they would be scared of it. But really, it's just two women wanting to grow and rebuild. And it's women who make everything happen. Sorry, men, but it is, behind the scenes, even way back, when men would go out looking for new land and things like that, or they'd go out for wars and stuff. It was the women who were left behind who took care of the children, who educated the children, who ran the towns while the men were gone. All of it, and they didn't get any credit for that at all. Sorry, it's so frustrating to me. But what I like about this interpretation, as instead of seeing Eve as just subservient, just following Adam around like a little lost puppy, kind of like simple and not so smart and codependent and just obedient, this one has her like getting along with another woman and, being in that strong, empowered energy and learning to grow and express their independence. So I like that. And she has her own thoughts and she acts on them. So I do kind of dig that interpretation. In 1972, Lily Rivlin writes an article called Lilith, points out the history of how messed up everything was, like how it's so patriarchy. Exactly what I'm saying right now. So I quote, "In the late 20th century, self-sufficient women inspired by the women's movement have adopted the Lilith myth as their own. They have transformed her into a female symbol of autonomy, sexual choice, and control of one's own destiny." End quote. Okay, so Bible interpretation of her, of course, she is naughty. She's all the things that they don't want you to be. Sensual, sexual, have a voice, open your mouth. Not just be there to jump into bed as soon as a man tells you to. All right, so anyways, then Doreen Valiente, she's a very, very, very well-known Wiccan high priestess. In her book, An ABC of Witchcraft, Past and Present, she references Lilith as dangerous feminine glamour of the moon, the magic of witches, which also relates her to Hecate as well. And Artemis, because Artemis is also that goddess of the moon and the night as well. And kind of, she's a warrior as well. So the Christian interpretation, religion or interpretation, makes her a folk demon, boogeyman, the first woman, the first wife of God, the difficult one. But now she's been reclaimed by the occult as a goddess, a deity, a divine feminine energy. She is for the energy of witchcraft and magic and rebellion, reclaiming your empowerment. She's a symbol for the oppressed everywhere, just to stand up. And that's the energy she really, really, really loves to help out the most. So in that article with Lily, I do agree with it because Lilith served as reasoning. She said in there that Lilith served as a reasoning for death and childbirth, like an explanation for a high infant mortality rate. Also, it was for like night terrors, also wet dreams. Lilith was the explanation for that. Like we talked about, she was everything the patriarchy doesn't want you to be. She's about primal attraction, passion, which is bad, according to the church and the patriarchy. I just think it's funny, though, that in all these stories that we're going through here, that we're finding that, like, all these natural things that happen get blamed on women. On some sort of goddess. Like, last week, we were talking about Persephone, right? So when she is with Hades, that's Demeter being dramatic and upset and can't control her emotions. So everything goes dark and barren. And that explains the winter. So the story of Persephone is an explanation for the seasons. So here they're using Lilith to explain wet dreams, explain, when babies die, or also like this back then, right? A lot of women died during childbirth as well. So that was another explanation as well. So now that we've learned all about this magnificent goddess and the strength and the protection and the love and great energy that she can bring to you, we're going to talk about how to work with her. Now, as I've said before, you guys, you don't have to have an extravagant altar. You don't have to have all these tools. You don't have to have all the stuff. Okay? All you have to do is ask. Ask. Okay? 3 times the charm, baby. Invite her energy in. As we've talked about many times before, we have free will. So, gods and goddesses, deities, angels, our people from the other side, ancestors, cannot just jump in to a situation unless we ask. Okay? Free will. Now, working with Lilith, it's a little easier for women. All right? Just because she has that energy with her, that she carries with her. She's very strong and empowering and, but she's not like, I don't want you to take from this that she's like a man-eater, rawr. No, and that men can't work with her. That's absolutely not true. It's just a little easier for women to connect with her energy. Although, I will say, she loves the gays. Okay? And transgender people, okay? Transgender people, gays. Call Lilith, all right? She'll be your bestie. So some symbols to know that she's kind of talking to you, all right? You'll see signs, synchronicities. If it's a feeling, right? If you just kind of feel like you're interested in learning about her, or you're like, I wonder if that's a sign that's connected to Lilith. Yes, it is. Okay? Even if you look it up and you can't find it anywhere that it says that that's a sign that's connected to Lilith, it is. Okay? Because in that moment, when you connected to whatever it was that you were connecting to, you thought of her. So that was her energy connecting to you saying, hey, what's up? Okay? So some symbols, again, if there's something else that's not on this list and you see it, trust your intuition always. Okay? So she, of course, represents the night and the moon, wings and the wind, freedom, liberty, flight. So we have the flame as well, which is wisdom and knowledge. So you can light a candle for her. So you'd want to go with darker colors, reds, blacks. There's one, she's showing me in my head right now, at the dollar store. It's black and it has a bunch of gold glitter on it. It's really pretty, but she likes that one apparently. Okay. So the astrological energies connected with her, Capricorn, Aquarius, Taurus as well. So Capricorn, wisdom, liberty, stability. Aquarius, we kind of have that, I want to use the word flighty, but not flighty in like a headspace kind of way, like more like of a wanderlust, is what I'm thinking. Freedom, rebellion, like I said there. And we have Taurus being care, support, Scorpio energy, also power, protection, mystery, sensuality, sexuality. right? We also have her representing here Venus, passion and empathy, Saturn, death and authority, rebirth as well, Neptune, magic and power, okay? So the chakras that are associated with her would be definitely your solar plexus and your sacral. Okay, of course, the sacral, throat chakra, obviously, speaking your truth, setting boundaries, standing up for yourself, and your third eye. Okay, so third eye, intuition and magic, throat chakra, communication and expression, and then the solar plexus, confidence and willpower. So, you just kind of live in her energy and kind of emanate her. She's a protector also of witches. Working with her, you definitely have to respect her as an energy of divinity, okay? You can't come in with the preconceived notions of her just being a she-devil. So you always, like I said, have to approach her with respect. And don't just expect her ever to just do your bidding for you. That will never, ever go well. Especially against other women, okay? Especially the ones that she's already connected to, all right? And you may not even know that, so I wouldn't even try. So, yeah. She may do your bidding for dudes that suck, though. That may be something. So, of course, she's also associated with the serpent, right? But that's Kundalini energy as well. Kundalini energy. So wisdom, info, guidance. She can offer you friendship as well. She's that fierce mother energy. If you want to put out some offerings for her, you can use roses, wine, just praising her, okay? We're inviting her in. Art, okay? She's really, really connected to that energy of creativity. Mugwort is another one. And again, you don't have to have a big elaborate altar space. If you're not comfortable with that, cool. You know, you can just talk to her. All right. So crystals for her, dark stones, of course, the deep blacks and deep reds. You're also going to use your candle colors in the deep blacks and deep reds too. So smoky quartz, red jasper, amber, which actually isn't a crystal. It's a fossil. It's fossilized tree sap. Garnet, of course, bloodstone, ruby, and rose quartz, right? So she can really help you if you are doing blood magic or sex magic, okay? That kind of stuff's not for everybody, and working with her doesn't mean that's where you need to go, okay? You can work with her or any deity the way that you want to and you feel comfortable. Don't ever feel pushed, okay? Or told by whoever, okay? Your connection to your deities is your connection to your deities, okay? All right. So you can also kind of work with Hecate for those things as well. She's very connected to those also. Now, we were talking about goddess associations. So Kali, for sure. We're talking about Hecate also. We mentioned Persephone, but also Freya. And I talked about Freya a couple weeks ago as well. She's very, very important to me. I love her. More to her lighter side aspect, that fierce mother energy. Okay. You can also call on her for righteous vengeance for the oppressed or abused. Okay. So if you have been in any type of traumatic situation or bad relationship or something like that, and you want some help getting out. Okay, if that's the situation you're in, or if you have like a toxic boss or whatever it is, okay, you can ask her to assist you with getting out of the situation. And she will. She will always come when you ask her to. All right. You might not recognize the sign that she's giving you to let you know that she's heard you, but she always comes. Okay. I'm going to tell you that because it's true. And she's a really, really great one to work with beginner witches too. But a lot of beginner witches, again, are afraid of her energy because of that religious conditioning. And you're afraid like something bad's going to happen or you're going to be punished in some way. That is the problem with religion. It always makes you feel like you're going to be punished for anything pleasurable, or anything connected to magic or manifesting or anything like that. because they don't want you to do it. That's why. So they scare you away from it. But like I said, she's excellent for beginner witches, because you can ask her to come in, help you out of any situation where you don't feel like you have control, and start working with her, and she will offer you the biggest protection, right? Just get to know her. That's the thing, all right? If you're new to this as well, and you're just kind of finding your footing here, if you're getting signs from different deities, follow them. You don't have to follow a traditional, Wicca or neo-paganism or pagan path. Mix it up, okay? Like for me, if you want to slap a label on me, I call myself eclectic pagan, because I really connect, as I've spoken about many times before, with my ancestry, with the Norse deities. But I also have relationships with other deities as well. And that's what eclectic paganism is. You kind of pick the parts of different factions that you like and that resonate with you, right? However things resonate with you. And when certain goddesses or gods are reaching out to you, do some research on them. That's another way of connecting too. That's inviting in their energy. You're looking them up. You're learning their stories. And if you're here with me right now, listening to this, learning about Lilith, then I promise you, she wants you to connect with her. Okay? So I want you to do that. I want you to invite her in. Don't be afraid. She's a very personal energy. But she's also right in your face. So, you'll know. She will give you a sign that she's there. And it's not always a figure standing in front of you. No, when you're dealing with goddess energy, the only way that I can describe it for you, the feeling of it, because it's all about the feeling. It feels like light. Now, I know that doesn't make sense because light doesn't feel like anything. You see it, right? But it does. There's a depth to it. There's a viscosity to it, if you will. Okay. And each goddess and God that you connect with has a different presence, and you start to learn them, and you can assign things to them. For me, I assign colors to the different deities that I work with. So when they come in, they start flashing me signs. My eyes keep being drawn to a certain color. Okay, time to sit down, quiet my mind, and connect with whoever's trying to reach me. So she's showing me black hearts too, the black heart emoji. All right, so if you're seeing a lot of those too, maybe time to connect with her. All right, so best connecting to her at nighttime. So just call her in to work with her. All right, and you'll feel her. You'll feel her. You may feel her a lot in the center of your body. Okay, the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, those ones the most. There might be kind of a warm feeling, almost like a fire, that fire in your belly, or an expansion. If this makes sense, I've had this before too, where it just feels like something is in your stomach that just expands it, not in a painful way, but you could just feel an energy that just kind of expands it, and you almost sit up a little taller. I don't know. I just said that, and maybe someone will resonate with that. There's always a reason for everything. So she does work a lot in the dream state, obviously, because nighttime, that dreamy energy, that's kind of where she likes to be. All right. Also, if snakes following you, the sight of snakes, they keep popping up on your timeline, or, you keep seeing them everywhere for some reason. Okay. Snake, obviously, owls, dragons, dancing figures, dancing shadows themselves, or a formless entity, or a mist, where you think you see someone standing there out of the corner of your eye, and you turn and there's nothing there. But it's not a fearful experience, because it always comes with an energy, a soothing energy. All right. That's the best way I can describe it to you in words. I really hope that made sense. So she may test you if she's not sure of your intentions at first. But like I said, she always answers. Always. Always. I know she always answers me. And I know she always answers a lot of other people too. But you just have to kind of quiet your mind and await the answers. And ask her for a specific sign. She'll give it to you. She will. And like I said, if you're going through any type of situation where you don't feel like you're in control of your own life, or if you're in some sort of abusive situation, gosh, I send you so much love. Call to her. She'll help you get out of it. Okay? So sending all of you guys so much love. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really, really do appreciate you so much. And this is so fun for me getting to share all this information with you guys. So remember, you guys can always make your own magic. Manifesting. I'll see you next week. Stay magical, my friends.